Hello, hello. Hi, this is Talia with Ayurveda Every Day with Talia. and mm, I'm drinking water with Soleil in it. When you jump in, let me know what you are drinking too. Or if you did a morning drink this morning, what was it? Want to see what my Ayurveda peeps are up to? What are you doing? Okay, so today in our Facebook Live today, this is kind of fun. So I really like to ask the members of Ayurveda Every Day with Talia, what's on your mind? What are you wanting to learn? How can I support you? And this is a pretty potent time of year. I was just doing a Facebook Live in the New Year, New You Meditating Fascia Blasters group. And if you want to check it out, you can go to that group to see it. It was about how do we prepare for meditation so that our meditation is really powerful and effective. And then I also led everybody through this guided meditation that was really about the possibility of how awesome you can feel in the spring. And when it was over, I explained, when we're at these seasonal junctures, this is according to Ayurveda, the season is changing. Everything outside of us, the external environment is changing, and it's a pretty drastic change from winter to spring. It's one of the more significant seasonal junctures. And if you don't change also, you're gonna somehow end up being stuck. And at this time of year, I would even say stuck in the mud. So you really do want to look at how can you change as the season changes, not just this season, but every time the season changes. So 4 times a year, asking this question. And Amy, who I have a couple questions that you submitted, I'm going to answer. Amy is still trying to clear out a spring cold, so she's drinking Chyavanprash. And Chyavanprash is, for those of you who don't know, okay, there's some Ayurvedic folklore with this that I love this story. There was a very old man. His name was Chyavan, and he was in love with a very young woman, maybe not too young, of childbearing years, and he wanted to have babies with her. He was in love with her. And he went to his Ayurvedic village doctor and he said, "Doctor, please, I'm so old. Make me young again so that I can be a father to our children." And so the folklore goes that the Ayurvedic doctor was, putting together all these herbs and ghee and raw honey and maybe 40 different herbs and roots and flowers and powders, and took 2 or 3 days to make this potion, maybe longer. And then he presented it to Chyavan and he said, "Here it is. Here's your prash, your food." Prash is it's a word for food. So the folklore, it's Chyavan's food, Chyavanprash, and it did make him young again. So when you take Chyavanprash, it's kind of like an herbal jam because it's like a paste. I actually recently just tried Banyan Botanicals, their brand of Chyavanprash, which I used to not like, but I think they've changed the formula and it's really, really good. Someday soon, I'll do a post in our group about the different Chyavanprashes that I have tried and which ones are my favorite. Unfortunately, my most favorite one that was also the most affordable from Nature's Formulary, they just stopped making it. I guess they weren't getting the sales, and it's such a bummer because their Chyavanprash was really, really good and it was very fairly priced. Anyway, what we're doing in today's Facebook Live is I am answering your questions. So if you're new to our group or you're kind of new to Ayurveda, this is a great Facebook Live for you to watch. And let's see what everybody had to say. Okay, Amy, I'm going to start with you since you're here live. So Amy asked, how long should I wait after dinner before doing gentle yoga? Okay, that's a great question. So everyone is different. You're going to hear me say that forever, all the time, because it's true. So there's a few things that this depends on. Number one, how big was your dinner? Hopefully it's not a massive, giant meal. If it's a pretty big meal, you want to wait at least 2 hours before doing any kind of yoga. And generally speaking, like if you're going to a yoga class, you pretty much across the board want to have had nothing to eat for at least 2 hours before you go to class. However, if Amy, your dinner is quite light and maybe it was even more liquid in nature, like more of soups or stews, and you really don't feel full, you could probably wait just an hour. And also you're suggesting gentle yoga at night. So I'm guessing it's not going to be any kind of real vigorous practice. So you might not even need to wait an entire hour. It just totally depends on you. But I think a general answer would be wait at least an hour, if not two. Myself, I can remember plenty of times when I've been, at a conference or at a yoga teacher training or something like that. And, I didn't wait 2 whole hours after I ate to do yoga, and I was fine. I have a little bit of a slower metabolism, so I think that's partly why it works for me. But it does. And sometimes even here in Santa Cruz, when I'm going to yoga, one of my classes, it's on Tuesdays at 11:30 a.m. And I usually don't feel hungry until at least 10 a.m., sometimes later. So there have been times when it's 10:30 and I'm like, oh God, yoga's in an hour, but now I'm super hungry. And so I'll have something light to eat, like applesauce with that I'll warm up, and I'll put a little ghee and protein powder in it. Or I'll have a few bites of a really great pesto. I made a spring pesto this morning out of cilantro, parsley, seaweed, olive oil, lemon juice, ume plum vinegar, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, turmeric, cumin seed, daikon radish. I put a red onion in it. So, it's like real activating, but it's also a very nourishing fat, and it's a complete protein because of the seeds and the seaweed. So I might just have a few bites of that. It's going to digest really easily. I probably won't burp it up while I'm in class. That's kind of the thing that you want your digestive system to have enough time to get everything it needs to go downward with your meal, to not have it come back up again, and to not have it get stuck in the middle. But with yoga, because you are working the digestive system, it's rare for it to get stuck in the middle. It's just, you want it to go far enough down that it's not coming up as belching or acid reflux or something like that. The spring pesto is delicious, I assure you. Okay, Amy had another question. Is it a good idea to massage swollen lymph nodes when one is sick? Or, since they're inflamed and tender, should they be left alone? Yes. Oh, and somebody just said lying on your left side after is nice too. And what I think you're saying is lying on your left side after you've had a meal can help you digest your food too. So that would be a good thing for you to do after dinner, Amy, is lay on your left side for 15 minutes and, and have that be the precursor to doing yoga. You kind of could make it even into a yoga practice, that lying on your left side. You could do some right leg, inner leg stretches, or some, pulling your right arm overhead kind of thing to stretch the right side body. So, when you have swollen lymph nodes and you don't feel well, it is totally okay to help them to, what's the word? I guess empty is the right word, but excrete. So I would, when I don't feel well and my lymph is swollen, I will do things like this, where I'll really be pulling down the lymphatic fluid that is, especially up here in the warrior lymph and behind the ears. I'll pull it down because I'm helping to open up the channel of release, so that the lymph can clear. Now, at the same time, I'm probably going to use some kind of medicated oil. So, for example, my Ayurvedic teacher for years has been making this immune boosting essential oil blend. It's called Immuno Boost, and it's amazing. So I'll put, 4 to 6 drops of that in my hands with a little bit of sunflower oil or sesame oil, and then I will, massage a little bit. I won't try to go like super crazy deep, but I will use my hands, and I think, you can kind of tell as you're doing it if your body wants you to keep doing it or not. If your body's like, don't, it's going to give you a signal that tells you to not do it. But it is okay to try to move inflamed, tender lymph nodes. And I think it's important actually that we do, not that we don't be afraid of touching them, that we don't be afraid of touching our own bodies, and just let the body tell you if it likes what you're doing or not. Okay, so Kelly had a question. She's kind of jumping ahead here in terms of where we are in the year, but that's okay. So Kelly asks, is it okay for any dosha, so any body type, to drink cool drinks in the summertime? So this is a great question. Is it okay for anybody to drink a cooling drink in the summer? So the answer is no. But it's like, such a detailed, this is like, ooh, I just want to massage this question. It's not okay for any dosha to do it because it's not only about your dosha, it's also about your imbalance. And it's also about like, where are you? It can be summer in San Francisco and it's freezing. So, like, or even anybody who lives on the coast, it can be really cold in the summer. So I know this has happened several times. When I go out of town, if I go on an airplane, I have to land, I don't have to, but I usually land in San Jose, California, which is over the hill from Santa Cruz. It's not on the ocean, it's a city. And on a day when Santa Cruz is, a really beautiful day, maybe it's like 70 degrees and, it's beautiful, it could be 90 degrees in San Jose. So, or it could be raining and foggy in Santa Cruz and you're in San Jose and it's in the 80s and you have no idea that Santa Cruz is. So there have been multiple times when there's a juice place that I love at the mall in San Jose, at the big fancy mall. What's it called? Santana Row? Whatever. What's the name of the juice place? My friend Katie turned me on to it. The Pressed Juicery. So I love going there. You can get a 6-pack of fresh squeezed vegetable juices for like $30. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go home and do a juice. I'll do like just drink juice for a day, just give my digestive system a break. And then I get to Santa Cruz and it's freezing. And I'm like, I can't do it now. Not only because my dosha is already kind of cold and cool, but now the weather isn't supporting me. So I can't do it. My body will be like, no. So I end up, who knows what I end up doing, but giving them away or putting them in freezing the ones that I can freeze. Let's see, super appreciative in the locations comments. Oh, super appreciate the location comments. I live in Mexico in the winter and northern cold Michigan in the summer. And so sorting out the seasons Ayurvedically has been confusing for me. Yeah, because, but to Kelly's point, when it is summer, and we're talking about in this hemisphere, okay, the northern hemisphere, when it is summer, it's summer for everybody. So even in northern cold Michigan and cold days when it's cold in Santa Cruz, it's still summer. We still have longer days. The sun is out for longer. We're outside more. We still want to attune our bodies and our eating to the season, but we just need to think deeper than hot, cold, wet, dry, light, heavy, and go like, okay, but like, let me really think about what do I need right now? How could I put it together? So, for example, I just gave this idea to somebody in Ayurveda starter school. She is cold, a cold constitution, and she has heartburn, which is a fiery kind of symptom. So what I want to give her is a remedy of aloe vera juice, which is a cool, nourishing bitter. It's an amazing drink in the summer for all doshas. However, if you tend to be really cold and it's not summer yet, how can you make that work? So my advice to her was to chop up some fresh ginger root, put it into the bottle of her aloe vera juice or gel, and drink it with the ginger infused in it. And also to not drink it first thing in the morning, to wait until she's in the warmer time of day between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Actually, I need to go back and say that to her. But that would be another way that somebody who runs cold could think about, like, well, when could I have a juice in summer? If I want the nutrition from a fresh vegetable juice, but I don't want to get too cold from it. At the very least, drinking it at the height of the sun, in the sky, when your digestive system will be the most supported by the heat of the day, so around noon. Or after a really hard workout where you got really hot, you raised your core temperature, and now you're replenishing. So after a hot yoga class or a run, or, a really long hike, or even in the middle of a long hike, that's how you could bring it in. So the answer to Kelly's question is it's not okay for any dosha to drink cold drinks in the summertime. However, you can figure out how any dosha can have a cooling drink and how they can support themselves around that cooling drink, whether it's using the weather, spices, herbs, the time of day that they drink it, or when it's paired with a certain activity. You don't know about pressed juice, where I used to go all the time, not organic, so I bailed. I thought it was organic. I thought it was. I don't know, maybe they've changed. I haven't been in a while either myself because it's been cold. I'll go back and check. All right, and then Alicia Lynn has a question. Her question is, I have a defibrillator and have been on keto diet, but a lot of the foods I can eat on keto are foods I have avoided for years. High sodium and high fat. Is this healthy for someone like me? So I'm really sorry, but I don't know enough about you, Alicia Lynn, to say if this is healthy for someone like you. I want to know more about whether or not this keto diet, how it's making you feel and what's happening. And you're saying nope about pressed juicery. Okay. I'm going to say something about that. So Alicia, I'm taking a break from your question just for a second. So one of my best friends, her husband is a doctor. He went to Harvard Medical School and he's amazing and he's incredibly smart. And they live in San Francisco, so I sleep over at their house a lot. And several times we've been sitting down to breakfast, and his name's Andrew. And Andrew and I will have this conversation about nutrition. And I just remember this so well because where they live in San Francisco, it's in the outer Sunset. And this conversation specifically was maybe four years ago. They have a lot of Asian markets in that part of San Francisco where there's tons of produce, but the produce isn't organic. And now that neighborhood is totally growing and changing. And then they have like Trader Joe's and whatever else where they get their dairy, their yogurt, their meat. And we were having this conversation about organics. And I just remember that what Andrew said at the time, I was like, everything needs to be organic. And partly I was saying that for our own health, but also because when we support organic farmers, we are supporting people who, are doing the right thing for the land and the soil, who aren't over fertilizing, over harvesting, they're turning the soil, etc., whatever, like you hope, good organic agricultural practices are. And Andrew was like, I just remember he really disagreed with me and was like, I would rather that my kids ate vegetables, whether they're organic or not, versus not having any vegetables because they're not organic. And then he was also talking about like the price of organic. Now, it's not fair to people who are in lower income communities because they won't spend that money on it, or they feel like they can't. And then we were talking about meat and dairy, and anyway, bookmark that conversation. It was a long time ago. Maybe it was longer than 4 years. But I just remember really being struck by that conversation with Andrew and being like, maybe I don't even know what to say to all of you about this exactly. Like, but it just kind of opened my mind to like, maybe I don't have to be so anal about, obviously I want everything to be organic because I care about the planet and I care about people's health. But when it isn't, is that going to be the deterrent that has me not be able to enjoy something or not be able to have something that otherwise is really beneficial for me, and instead encourage whoever I'm getting it from, like, hey, did you know you could get organic, blah, 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 be certified organic. So knowing that the pressed juicery is not organic actually does not have me not want to go. It does have me want to go and ask questions. Why aren't you organic? What's going on? You guys are a chain. Like, you could actually be making change. And they might be using produce that is not certified organic, but that also isn't sprayed. A lot of companies don't want to pay for the organic certification, from what I understand, and from farmers I've spoken to at farmers markets. But I do believe that your dairy and your meat, because it contains fat, and you are going to completely absorb everything about it. I do believe that your dairy and your meat has to be like impeccable sourced. Not only because those animals deserve to be raised humanely, but that for me is the deal breaker, is more about meat and dairy than about vegetables. Anyway, I went on a tangent. Okay, here's a question that just came in. Talia, I had a weak moment just now. I ate some candy and now my stomach is killing me. Is there something I can take that will make my stomach feel better? Okay, don't know what you have around, but if you have cumin seed, coriander seed, and or fennel seed, put a tablespoon of whatever, total in a 1 cup mug, boil some water, pour it over the seeds, and then drink that water. And that should help to soothe it. You could also, you definitely want to flush with water. You could also do some water with lemon. And you can also, the next time you're hungry, do some dark leafy greens or some aloe. So when the taste of sweet, when we do too much sugar or too much sweet, bitter is the taste that is the antidote to too much sweet. So dark leafy greens, the cilantro pesto I talked about earlier, aloe vera juice. You can use a powder if you don't have the whole seeds. Just, you'll just want to stir it as you're drinking it. There are lots of things you can do. I just not sure what you have around. Slippery elm bark is amazing for this as well, and that comes in a powder as well as a looser kind of tea. You don't put, because something like slippery elm bark is, in the name of it, it tells you it's slippery, so it's demulcent. It's very smooth and soothing to the digestive system. You don't actually add boiling water to that. You add water that is hot but not boiling so that you keep the demulcency of that herb. But try the powder if you have cumin or coriander. Coriander is probably going to be the most powerful of those three for what you're describing. Let's see what other questions came in. So Alicia Lynn, I want to know more about you before I answer your keto question. And then Sandy asked how to make skincare beauty products and toothpaste. Well, that's an entire like class or webinar. And I do teach those kinds of classes for sure. But really simple. Oops, I just dropped my paper. If you wanted to do something just super simple, like making your own toothpaste, I've seen toothpaste that's just basically like baking soda with essential oils in it. And if I think about essential oils that are especially good for the mouth, I think of peppermint, clove, cinnamon, myrrh. So, you could put in half a cup of baking soda. You could put maybe 10 drops total of these essential oils and then dip your toothbrush in it and brush your teeth that way. That would be interesting. I don't know, does anybody have a recipe for making your own toothpaste? I do. There's a book that I love called The Home Apothecary. The Home Apothecary, that's the name of the book. She's got some really cool recipes in there. And then, of course, you can Google it. Google recipes. I do that all the time, and then I play with it in my kitchen for an hour and figure out the kind of the best of what I discovered and make it my own recipe. So you could try that, Sandy. And then Sandy also asked, how do I know what to eat for my dosha and what is out of balance? I don't totally understand the end of that question, but how do I know what to eat for my dosha? I think this is everybody's question when they start learning Ayurveda. How you know what to eat for your dosha is, number one, it's a long answer. So this is the thing about Ayurveda, everybody, and I say this all the time, this is a huge science, like enormous. I mean, for beginning Ayurveda, there's not just one thick textbook by Dr. Lad. There's like 4, at least 2 for the beginning pieces. So you don't only want to eat for your dosha. You also want to eat for your current imbalance and for what's happening in the season, because every season has us accumulate certain things and calls for us to eliminate certain things. That's why I lead a seasonal Ayurvedic cleanse every season. And the one that's coming up on April 17th, the RAD Cleanse, is really specific for spring. And it's not a khichdi cleanse. It's not a mono diet cleanse. It's a truly educational course about how you know what to eat for your dosha and your imbalance given the season that you're in. So what we do in the RAD cleanse is we do a lot of fine tuning of like what you need. So Sandy, to answer your question, it's like, I want you to tune in to your own body, what you need, what you're feeling, what you can identify will bring you into balance. If you don't already have my Ayurveda Starters Guide, that's what that whole free guide is about. And you can get it on my website, taliaskitchen.com, if you don't already have it. Like, that's a starting point, is just being able to identify, how do I feel? Then you start looking at, what do I need? And when you're looking at what you need, there's like so much there. Do I need cooked? Do I need raw? Do I need a root vegetable? Do I need a vegetable that grows above the ground? How big should my meals be for the kind of metabolism that I have? So I really believe you want to immerse yourself in the science through a course or through books or through practicing it in your own kitchen and experimenting and seeing what you come up with. So eating for the dosha and the imbalance is another question. Does that mean if you have lots of imbalances that you will have fewer foods that would be possible to eat? Not necessarily. It depends on what your imbalances are. Like, if you have a lot of imbalances and you are really stumped on what you should eat, I recommend that you meet with me or another Ayurvedic practitioner, even for one session, because there's really looking at your imbalances. Yes, we want to look at those. Those are your current symptoms. But then we also need to know, where are you coming from? What's your core constitution? And what you eat is going to need to nourish both your core constitution and shifting these imbalances. And we want to be thinking about what season we're in. So, it's a process of learning. And I'm sorry to not give you like something concrete, but it's just, it is sort of a general question. So I am giving as specific of an answer as I can give. Because you're not even asking me what your specific dosha is. But it is an art. I'm going to say it that way. And if you do a course like my RAD Cleanse, you do start to become masterful of that art. But it is a trial and error, an experiential process of figuring out what it looks like for you. And just in case you haven't heard yet, you all do have a $100 off coupon code to the RAD Cleanse that is going to expire on April 15th. So the sooner the better. If you're thinking about signing up. Also, if you're thinking about signing up, I haven't even officially launched the cleanse in a certain sense, but I've been talking about it because I just am, and I'm excited, and it's a crazy awesome program. But the sooner you sign up, the more bonuses that you'll get as part of the RAD Cleanse, because as the RAD Cleanse gets talked about and we get closer to the date it starts, I have bonuses that I'm offering, and then I take them away, right? I'll be like, if you sign up today, you get this bonus, but it's only available for 72 hours. Everyone who signs up before those 72 hours are up get that bonus. And then I started a different bonus. If you signed up in those first 72 hours, any other bonus I offer beyond that one, you also get. So I haven't even announced all the bonuses yet, but if you sign up sooner than later, you're bound to get them all. Okay. So a couple more questions that were submitted in advance. I'm going to do these first, and then I'll see what's coming in the comments. Elizabeth asked, when can I come see you and get a pulse reading? I think that I said to private message me, and we'll set that up. Also, what is good to cook in spring for my dosha? I am Pitta Vata with some Kapha imbalance. So some good things to cook in spring when you are Pitta Vata. Spring is a Kapha Pitta season. I would say that, just to be quick, because we don't have too much time left, dark leafy greens that are steamed. So steaming dark leafy greens and then putting them onto a plate or into a bowl and tossing them with fresh lemon juice, maybe a little bit of fresh lemon zest, some olive oil, some apple cider vinegar. You could toss some raw pumpkin seeds in there and maybe top the whole thing with sprouts. That would be amazing. And of course, that doesn't have to be your main meal, but that with a side of really simply cooked brown rice, that could be something nice. Or white rice, white basmati rice. That could be something great for a Pitta Vata person in spring. Definitely you'd want to put the olive oil on there, maybe even some fish oil. You could even, instead of the pumpkin seeds, you could do the sunflower seeds. I'm kind of thinking you have a kapha imbalance there too, but that would be an amazing meal, and it would be really simple. And you could even have that meal, a few meals in a row as kind of a mono diet to just kind of clear things out and then see how do I feel? And then Barbara asked about the best skincare products. She uses coconut oil with vitamin E, but she's got more lines and wrinkles. than when she started, and her skin's not feeling moisturized. So one of my favorite Ayurvedic skincare companies is Shankara, Shankara. I believe I have a discount code for you, so let me find it and I'll post it in this video, in the notes on this video. But Shankara is amazing. Their serums, their masks, their cleansers. I haven't tried every single product, but I have tried those and they are phenomenal. And then I really love Evan Healy makes a whipped shea butter cream that if you do have, like, I love to put that on at night. It's really quite thick. So I'll put it on at night and let it absorb all night long. And I'll usually do that with a little bit of a hydrosol on my skin first so that the oil and the fat of the shea butter really has a chance to permeate the pores of the skin. They also make a whipped argan butter that's crazy awesome. I used it this morning and it really feels good. And then what else do I love these days? I've talked about this before, but Immortelle is an essential oil blend that I sell in my Talia's Kitchen shop. It's made by doTERRA, and that can be put directly on like sunspots, blemishes, any problem areas. I mean, I'll put them, I've gotten rid of so many different like weird spots on my face with the Immortelle, including this one mole that I hated and that just was there forever. And I was like, this doesn't seem like it should be part of my face. And I just kept putting the Immortelle on it, and it just one day it just fell off. So you could use that on wrinkles and lines because there's frankincense, rose geranium, sandalwood. I want to say there's helichrysum in it, like a lot of reparative essential oils in that blend. And then, since Barbara and Sandy both had a question about skincare, maybe I'll do another skincare Facebook Live coming up here soon. Probably once my RAD Cleanse gets started, but I'll plan for that like maybe later in April. I'll do a little skincare demo. And there's also a video in the archives in this group of me in a red cardigan sweater. It was from kind of mid-December. And I did a bunch of like my favorite face care products in that video. So Barbara, if you want to look for the video of me in a red cardigan sweater, watch that and you'll see. And then her last question is, after a workout, when I'm sweaty, I don't feel like I can do an Abhyanga before I go into the shower because I don't want to put the toxins that I sweat out, I don't want to put them back into my body. How do you get your Abhyanga done in that case? So what I recommend is after a workout, you're all sweaty, jump into the shower, do a quick rinse with soap, jump out, pat yourself dry, do Abhyanga, leave it on your skin for 20 or 30 minutes, and then just rinse. You don't soap again, you just rinse. Or, this is what I do, take a shower, soap up, get all of that off of your body, and then do Abhyanga, and just let it absorb into your skin. Don't do so much that you're like, can't get dressed, but do Abhyanga and just get dressed. So that's what I recommend. Another thing is sometimes I will do my Abhyanga like early in the morning. I'll put on a robe. I'll let it sink into my skin for a while. Then like an hour, 2, 3 hours later, I'm getting ready to go do my workout. I'm not very oily anymore because I've really absorbed the Abhyanga. So I might do one last kind of rubbing it in, put on my workout clothes, and have oil on my skin when I go to work out. If you run cold or dry, that's actually a helpful way to approach your workouts is by already having done your Abhyanga. Okay, let me answer a few of the questions that came in. Ayurveda is so cool. It has so much depth. I just love it. And art is a good way to say that. Thank you. Awesome. So if I have a kapha imbalance, but I am pitta dosha, I can use some pepper to push the kapha, but not too much. That's correct. And then the aloe and abhyanga with lavender and peppermint has made a difference to the heartburn. Thank you for the suggestion. I'll increase the aloe. I'm maybe not taking enough. Yes, that's very possible. I am Vata Kapha, found last week tricky in this kapha season as I try to get rid of this heartburn. So Hema, I'm guessing this is you. I have been eating way too much sweet and noticed that I've been pretty inert. Is the solution more bitter? Yes. If so, what would be another nourishing bitter alongside aloe? You've been craving lemons and garlic and onions. The pesto that I mentioned in the very beginning of this live. So if you do the RAD cleanse, you'll get lots of pesto recipes. But I have it's called Amazing Pesto Chutney in both of my cookbooks, the Ayurvedic Vegan Kitchen and the original Talia's Kitchen cookbook. I believe that I've posted pesto recipes multiple times in my Talia's Kitchen Facebook page. So you can always do a search for recipes there. But most of the time when I make a pesto, like to make it a nourishing pesto, and specifically what I believe it's Hema is asking, because I can't see your name the way I'm doing the live, you would just choose like more specific bitter herbs to put into your pesto, like dandelion greens would be the most bitter, maybe even an endive, cilantro, parsley. You know, if you had those be the herbs, that would make a very beautiful bitter pesto. And then you could use olive oil as the oil. You could put lemon and garlic into it. Because you're Vata Kapha, you're going to be okay with some raw garlic. You could even put a little bit of raw onion. Not a lot, just a little bit. And then some kind of seed like raw pumpkin seed or raw sunflower seed, and just blend that up. So there's no cheese in it. There's no nuts in it. It's a really clean, nutritive, bitter pesto. That would be another nourishing bitter alongside aloe. And Hema, because you're in Ayurveda Starter School, you definitely have a pesto recipe for this. And you also have a bonus Ayurveda Starter School recipe book coming your way. So there will be more in there as well. Okay, so to recap, this was a Facebook Live where I answered your questions. So feel free to post your questions always in Ayurveda Every Day with Talia. I love seeing what you're up to and what your questions are. For all of you who have questions about what you should be eating for your dosha at this time of year, I can never answer it better than I do through the RAD Cleanse, which stands for Radiance Ayurveda Detox. So if you're up for taking a couple weeks this spring to focus on your body, focus on yourself, put yourself first, kind of take a step back and be like, you know what, I'm going to do a reset. I'm going to do like a real true spring cleaning, not just of my house, but of my body too, then sign up for the RAD Cleanse. It is such an awesome program. There's an amazing community. There is nothing to fear. There are so many yes foods. There's so many different ways that we fine tune the cleanse specifically for you. So it's not a one size fits all program, but it is an educational program about how do we all want to shift our ways of being, eating, and living when we're in the spring season, and then how can you fine tune it so that your imbalances are being shifted, you're the most balanced, energized, peaceful version of yourself that you can be. That's what we focus on in the RAD Cleanse. It's really so much fun. And if you go to the link that's here in the video, taliaskitchen.com/rad-cleanse-spring, you'll see, as you kind of scroll through that whole page, you'll see lots of testimonials from past cleansers. So that can give you an idea of what's possible for you if you decide to do it. And you can ask me more questions about it, of course, in the Facebook group here. In the RAD Detox, where you find your specific dosha, I definitely give you tools to determine your dosha. So the answer is probably. Some people have a really complex constitution, and it's just hard to figure it out on your own. I just, one of my Ayurveda Starter School students was so awesome. She is going on this big vacation, and she was in San Francisco, and she was like, is there any way I could see you? I'm like, I'm only 2 hours away. So she actually took an Uber to Santa Cruz, and we got to read her pulse. And, she would not have been able to determine her dosha the way that we did, because her constitution is very complex, based on some genetic stuff, some hereditary stuff, and some birth trauma. So I don't want to make a false promise and say, yes, you will totally know your dosha, but you will have such a great idea of what it is if you're not 100% sure. And the way you get 100% sure is to work with a practitioner, so me or another Ayurvedic practitioner who reads pulse. And that can be done long distance or in person. You don't have to come see me, but you can. And yeah, so there's lots of tools in the RAD Cleanse to help you figure out your specific dosha. And even if you don't, we really do things kind of based on, like, if you're feeling like this is what I want you to do today. If you're feeling like this is what I want you to do. So there's all these little tweaks that we keep doing inside of the RAD Cleanse throughout the program. And then we have live Q&A calls for the first 4 weeks of the course. So you get to ask lots of questions, just like we do here. And what else did I want to say? There's also the community, the RAD Cleanse community. So many amazing people who have done the cleanse before and people who have not, but really supportive. Everyone helps to help you determine your dosha too. My cat's freaking out right now. I gotta let her in. All right, so how do I read pulse if not in person? That's a great question. I answered this the other day for somebody else. Pulse is like, obviously when I'm reading pulse in physical form and I'm putting my fingers onto the blood vessel wall of somebody's wrist, I'm feeling the pulses. There's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha pulses, and I'm feeling them in different areas of the body. But I've been practicing Ayurveda for 18 years. I've been a practitioner for 15 years. You can also read energy and assess people's constitution, assess their imbalances through their symptoms, through how they speak, through how they look, through different telltale signs on their face, because we have all of our nerve endings are in the face, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet. So, there's so much I can see in somebody's face. There's so much I can pick up on in their mannerisms, their tempo, their, the answers that they give me to, how hot, cold, wet, or dry they run. Oh, your hearts aren't working. You're so cute, Amy. So I'll tell you that I think there's only been one time, and it was a long time ago, where I was not able to accurately determine somebody's pulse long distance. Every other person that I've worked with, I feel like, has been really spot on. And I even sometimes read pulse long distance through, on video, although I've done it on the phone too. And then met the person in person, read their pulse, and was like, yes, that is correct. Like, what we already determined is correct. So, there's a lot of energy work in reading pulse, and I'm good at it. So that's how I'm able to read pulse if not in person. All right. Thanks so much for watching today. See you next time in Ayurveda Every Day with Talia. And if you're catching this video on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. And please feel free to join our group on Facebook, Ayurveda Every Day with Talia, or go to my website and connect with me there and pick up the Ayurveda Starters Guide if you don't already have it. Okay. Mwah.